Dutt.
Good evening and a very warm welcome to We the People. On the program today, something that India is still coming to terms with, the brave new word of blogging. Simply described, a blog is a personal online journal that's not just personal, it's also available for public consumption. And perhaps that's where the problems, the strengths and the controversies begin. If you thought that this is just some airy-fairy thing that concerns Generation Next and only a handful of them, well, think again. Latest studies suggest that 40,000 people in India are active bloggers, but 10 times the number of that figure, that's 400,000 people, have actually registered and opened a blog. Even more interestingly, of the 21.8 million internet users in India, 18 million have said in different surveys that they regularly check blogs. And these are numbers that everybody knows are only going to increase. On the program today, we're looking at how blogs could change the face of several things. The face of conventional media, as has happened in countries like the United States. The face of debates around libel, defamation. Also, us, psychologically, are we now heading towards a more confessional society? Many of these blogs have very, very candid details of people's private lives. And sometimes, on the odd occasion, and I'm sure this will get posted on one of the blogs, they're also hideously ugly about other people. So should blogs be held up to the same accountability that mainstream media is? That's essentially the focus of the program today, with all of these dimensions thrown in. And we've got many different bloggers and all sorts of people to give us perspective on this. But I want to start with somebody from the mainstream media, if I can. Amrita Shah, let me start here with you. You know, the media keeps changing, and every 5 years you sort of feel like you're from the dinosaur age. Like 13 years in TV and I'm feeling like, my God, it's all changed. And then you're from print originally, and so TV is already a new animal, and then comes this blog type beast. Is it a benign beast? Is it a friendly beast? Is it an interesting beast? What is it to you when you hear about all these blogs? Do you surf the net and look at blogs occasionally?
Occasionally, but very occasionally. I am from the dinosaur age. But I think actually the media is going through a fundamental shift. I think it's becoming a voice of the people, truly, in the fourth estate, with no kind of barrier in between. And I think it's going to change not just the way the conventional media works, but also the way we look at media.
For example, as a journalist, that, you know, if I say something on this program, somebody can take me to court. If I write something in a newspaper, somebody can take me to court, which if it's found to be incorrect or libelous or defamatory or not responsible reporting. But a lot of blogs just don't have to answer to that standard of information dissemination. Does that concern you?
To some extent, but in a limited way, because I think the credibility level, I don't think it has the credibility level, say for instance, that an established newspaper would have. I think people would...
you think people don't take it seriously?
Some blogs perhaps, but I'd say it could be a bit like graffiti.
Okay.
So, you know, what can you do about it?
So it's a scribble on the bathroom wall, is that what it is? How would the bloggers see that? Kamabhat, let me get you in. There are also generations of bloggers, and like with journalists in any medium, there are kinds of bloggers, and there are, you know, you can't have a universal judgment of anything. But I know that a lot of people in the mainstream media got very nervous when, let's say, YouTube came along. And suddenly everyone could upload a video, and everybody could be a journalist, and a lot of people saw that as the insecurity of people like me. You know, who's going to listen to me if everybody can just film something with a camera and put it on? So do you think that this is about the insecurity of the mainstream media, or do you think there is a genuine concern that when a blog claims to disseminate information or opinion, it has to be held up to certain standards?
Yes, I think there is a community norm that is evolving even in the blogging world, and I think that community is going to kind of say whether this is acceptable or not. You know, because it took so many years for the print media and the traditional media, as you described it, to get your rights and get everything in norms.
In TV we still don't have them, actually.
Yes.
We're still debating how. So you're saying it has to come from within the community, it can't be legislated, because that defies the principle of the internet?
Yes, I mean, you can't control ideas. ideas. You know, you can't edit freedom. So
let me get the lawyer in. Vivek Sood, you can't control ideas, but can you control hate? Can you control lies? Can you control what in traditional media we call irresponsible reportage?
No, we have the laws in place. For example, we have the law of defamation.
Yeah, but it doesn't apply to the blogs.
No, it applies.
How does it work? If somebody
Defamation is nothing where if you lower somebody's reputation by any mode of communication, that amounts to defamation.
So it's not that the internet exists outside of the domain of law?
It is not. We have the laws in place. So I believe that blogs per se are lawful. You can't say that blog per se.
No, obviously not. But the debate is, can and should it be regulated? Because many believe the distinguishing feature of the internet is the absolutist notion of free speech.
Yeah. I don't think it should be regulated, because then you're killing the efficacy of the mode of communication itself.
So there's a contradiction there. You don't believe it should be regulated, but then what happens when all this other stuff happens, if it happens? Let's get in, I mean, there are political blogs, there are media blogs, and there are personal blogs. Let's get into the personal blog space. I want to start, sitting by me is Meenakshi Madhavan, who has a blog called The Compulsive Confessor. And I'm just going to quote a bit from what we found on your blog, because I assume it is for public knowledge. It's okay. Everybody here. So there's this bit coming up. More and more of my male friends tell me, you know, sex isn't that important. And I'm wondering when they reach that conclusion. Because for me, sex isn't that important unless I have to go without it. In which case I turn into a mixture of Cruella de Vil and Bambi, alternating between long drags of my cigarette and fluttering eyelashes at whatever's closest.
I quit smoking.
You quit smoking?
I did quit smoking.
Does that mean you got enough sex? Now, this is the kind of question that I would never ask to another person on this show, because I would feel like it's an invasion of privacy. But when I read that up there, and I know that it's okay for you to have so many people, anybody who knows, you know, wants to Google you or go, and to know this, effectively you're allowing the world into your private space. What makes you comfortable with that?
Well, it's not entirely my life. It's only like 10% of it.
Do you fabricate the rest?
No. This is actually 10% of my life. And mostly the stuff, even the stuff I read about sex, is very general. I mean, it's like, okay, so I haven't had sex in a long time, but you know, it's not like I haven't had sex in a long time with so-and-so.
You don't take names of
real
real people?
I don't take names of real people.
Ever?
And I always ask for permission before I write about them.
Or do you masquerade them in such a way that everybody knows who they are anyway? Which is usually the trick.
My friends actually don't read my blog, so most of them don't.
But let me ask you, when I read this out just now, was there a moment of awkwardness?
Well, a little bit, I suppose. That's why I write it and don't say it. You know.
So there is that sense when you're writing it that somehow it's private even though it's not?
Well, yeah. For one thing, my blog is under a pseudonym. So even though everyone, well, now everyone knows what it's hidden.
Yeah.
I have a mask.
Mm-hmm. And the need for this mask is what? Is it because in programs like this, in conversations that we have in life, it's actually tough to say the kind of thing that you just said for a woman in India even now?
Exactly. I think the internet is still full of psychos. And that is the only reason I try to protect myself with you know, not having my name coming up immediately when I Google search.